you know, it is always an honor to meet and speak with you. I've been getting to know your story quite a bit, from your memoir, Your Honor, A Journey Through Grief to Restorative Justice, right here. I know this is available on all platforms, correct?
Amazon and all the rest, yes.
Absolutely. And also your website, which I'll allow you to tell everyone what that is.
www.judgeleonia, LEONIA.com.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Straightforward as you are, as a humanitarian, one who has personified dignified nobility, moral leadership, and legal precedent, as I called you, a lifelong humanitarian from my view, with having the honor of writing a piece of your bio. For over 40 years, Judge Lloyd, your firm and fair voice, it's reverberated throughout your hometown of Detroit, Michigan. The law offices of Lloyd and Lloyd Attorneys at Law, which was headquartered right in the Renaissance Center, and in your transformative courtroom of the 36th District Court, one of the busiest courts to this day in the United States of America. So I just want to start, Judge Lloyd, with having you share with us what have you learned across the span of also your many careers, which I wanted you to share with the audience beyond being a judge, because so much led up to that point. So can you share all the hats that you wore and what your career and journey has meant to you?
I've traveled many roads, as you have pointed out. Those roads were my careers that I was on, and started out, if you want to count modeling, but I was a teenager, that was the fun stuff. Okay. But then I went to undergrad. I became a teacher. Put the work in and became a teacher. Then I went on and became a lawyer. After doing teaching for 4 years, I decided to wear a different hat. I wanted to be more involved in the community, helping our people. And I thought the best way for me to do that, based upon some of the things I was involved in the Black Student Union as an undergrad, I knew that if in fact a person with a legal background spoke up, people listened. Okay, so that's the way I had to do what I had to do to help them, and that's fine. And I went and I became a lawyer. That was extremely hard. That was extremely hard when you set a path and then it gets disrupted by life, like my sisters and I life was disrupted with adversity and trauma and all kind of obstacles and tragedy. But you keep going. And I did that for 10 years, and then I became a judge. And then I was a judge for 24 years. These were the roads that I took, paths that I took. But in each one of them, I knew that this was God's plan for me. Now, I might not have known it when I first started out, but I got guided that way. And the only hand guiding me was Him. And I got guided that way. And that's what sustained me, no matter how hard or difficult the task was. And it was very difficult. A lot of them were very difficult. Law school was extremely difficult. But that's what sustained my belief to stick with it and not quit. Not quit. And that's the main thing that I say in that book. I try to light a fire underneath whoever's reading that book. When I speak, I try to light a fire under my audience. Never quit. I don't care if you got to recalculate some things, change the path a little bit, it take a little bit longer. But the bottom line is that you don't quit. You don't quit on yourself or the plan that God put inside you. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. Specifically the pathway of how you navigated the court system. Can you speak a little bit to who specifically you really, really aimed towards? Something that I know was very pivotal for you was just the historic measures you've made when it comes to helping those who come from so many just struggling circumstances of addiction, drug treatment. Can you mention just some of the trailblazing things. I know it's a long list that you did across your career as a judge. And I know you had some full circle moments there where people came back years later and just thanked you for all that you did for them.
You know, I wanted, when my sister passed, I didn't know what I was going to do. I really didn't. I was really, really lost. Like people going through grief, I was extremely lost, but I was lucky. I placed a counselor in my life, a counselor that just had my hand and just guiding me, giving me the strength. So when I went back to work, less than 3 to 4 months later, I was asked to do drug court. And I accepted that position. I knew I would be helping a lot of damaged people, people damaged by drugs, the addiction, the hold that it had on them. It's not that they didn't want to stop. They didn't want to become dope sick. They didn't want to suffer like that. And being dope sick is really, really, really difficult. And so I went ahead and said yes. And using the law as a tool. And as I worked drug court, when I was the sheriff came to me with a proposal. His people said, "Will you help us with the prostitution problem?" And they said the ones that are addicted to drugs. They said, "We don't need to reinvent the wheel. You have a drug court." And so we teamed up together, and then it became the program of the court. Okay, and so that track was looked at around the world. When I first got contacted by the UK for us to send the model that we have, because they wanted to, number one, help. Prostitution was everywhere. It wasn't just in the United States, it was everywhere. When I spoke to people in Canada at conferences, they said, "How can you get one lady to stay, let alone 50? You know, I said, it's our program, and it's the sheriff's department. It's the community working. I had everybody on the team. And this was something that grew. It was something that I believed in. I remember in college, my sister and I would see the ladies of the evening, and we knew that they were doing this a lot of the time to survive. Okay? It's not something they may not have wanted to do, but I've seen ladies in that special track that I had graduate, get bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, become practical and registered nurses. I was just so proud of them because they were doing something with their life they never, ever thought they could ever do. And when I say never think you can do, because drugs have such a grip on people that they've tried on their own and it hasn't worked. But when you put a team together, and I had a winning team of people helping me, when you put a team together, and though that team is encouraging everybody, you see growth. You see people finally walk through your door in a courtroom and they've got sunshine coming out of them. Haven't touched a drug, haven't done anything. So the bottom line, that was that program. And it was, and I hope I didn't answer this, but that was that program that I used the law in such a way as a tool to be innovative. You know, not just use the law to be punitive. You know, they paid their debt back to society. But if you can help someone transform into a productive citizen, they are helping not just themselves, but our society as well. They're helping the city of Detroit. They're helping the state of Michigan. They are, like one young lady told me, "Judge, I paid taxes and I was proud to do it." And she had the biggest smile on her. Now, you don't see many people smiling when they pay taxes, but that was a step being a productive citizen. I knew exactly what she meant. Exactly.
You now, and you always have been a speaker, Judge, but now looking back on your career, you're in a different space now, being able to now kind of take off some of the hats of the hardcore day in and day out courtroom life. Now, what do you have to say to people after those in the audience who just want to know how to motivate themselves, it's not always, everyone doesn't always have innate ambition for whatever reason. How do you help people see more for themselves and ultimately help them step into a higher version of themselves where they don't necessarily see that light?
They've got to, number one, surround themselves with positive, okay, not negative people, but positive people, because you want to be in an atmosphere of positivity when you're trying to change, you're trying to grow. If in fact, read some books that are interesting that will uplift you. Okay? I've had people tell me, Judge, I read a section of your book when a certain person in their family died, and they wanted it's something I had wrote, clicked with them, got them through. Another person said, I decided that, and this is a person that I've known for a long time. I just haven't been in contact with them. And they have a decent life. They did pretty good, but they kind of stopped along the way. When you have goals and you put them aside because life happens to you, things happen in your life. And you say, well, I've waited too long. Well, maybe I'm getting too old to do that. Or wait, no, those are just excuses. And this young lady said, I went back to my passion. I went back to what fired me up. And she said, and I started, and I'm watching her. I'm watching her on Facebook do all these different things. And she said, I read your book. And I started, so it doesn't even have to be my book. It can be any book or any program that you look at that is going to make you feel positive about yourself and your ability, not the negative people. Don't be around them. The naysayers that tell you that you can't do something. You don't need those people in your life. I don't care if you're related to them or not. You don't need naysayers around you because there's always going to be people asking about who you think you are and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't need that around you. You need positivity around you so you can grow, so you can blossom. It's like sunshine and it will uplift you and you keep going and you keep going.
Thank you for that. Judge, when it comes to your book, you have it categorized into 5 sections, distinctly the stages of your life, your childhood, college years, your legal career, which of course you were in the entertainment industry, remarkably, a product of Motown. All of these people who you've been able to grace, I know, across the nation and world. Your legal career, of course, as it expanded into becoming a judge, and your twin sister, the late Honorable LLoyd. I know this book is also dedicated to your parents. And with that being said, I know so much of what I picked up, and even the first few pages were the inspiration and what your parents instilled. A lot came from that upbringing. The distinct ways that you all had to stay focused, the discipline that your parents never wavered from. Because it's in their honor, what would you just like to say when it comes to what they meant to you and how you continue to keep fighting each day as a representative of your family?
You are absolutely right. My parents set the blueprint for us. And it didn't mean that they had to know law. They weren't lawyers, My mother wasn't a teacher. She was a nurse. She didn't know anything about teaching. Okay. But she knew how to say, you will sit here and do your homework every day. That's the first thing you're going to do. You can't do nothing else until you do your homework when you come in. And then you can play. And then you got permission. You showed her the homework, now you can go on out. Bottom line is that's what she meant. Education was important to her. Education was important to her mother. Her mother had 11 kids, and those 11 kids, except for 3, all went to college back then and graduated. And my mother was one of the 3 because she became a nurse. Okay, the other were 2 morticians. So they all got certified by the state, And the bottom line is that she had that work ethic in her. And my father turned those reins over to her. That part is hers. Okay.
Good.
But they work together as a team. And those who read my book know that they had some difficulties and they had challenges. But the amazing thing was that Leona and I never knew any of their issues and problems because they teamed up together. If you could not go to one parent and ask for something and then say, well, we got a no on that. Let's go to mama now and try her. So, when I do this, she said, you asked your father? What'd he say?
Exactly.
And then she said, no. And then if we did it reverse, he said, did you ask your mother? What did she say? She said, no. Then the answer is no. So, I mean, there's no need to shop around for a yes, okay, because you're not going to get it. But they instilled that not quit attitude. Even when my mother had a nervous breakdown and we were in high school and everything we did circled around our real strong bond with our mother. She was our cheer team. Everything we tried, she was yay, yay, yay. Okay. And it didn't matter what it was. And then all of a sudden she goes into the hospital and she's not the same mother. And we don't understand what's happening to her. Why is she talking this way? And you're looking for her to come back and she's not coming back. And you've got to give the graduation speech at your graduation. You're the first Black students, you and your sister, that is going to speak at a graduation at Mumford High School. Everybody else was not Black before that. And my mother had to help prepare us. So we couldn't let her down. We had to do it. We said, our mother looked at us from the hospital bed and she said, I can't be there, but do it the way you practiced it in front of me. And we had to, our whole theme was don't quit. To graduate, you're going to run into obstacles out there. If you're going to college, you're going to a trade school, whatever you're getting ready to do, but you can't quit. We were given that speech. That poem at the end of my speech, because I put a little poem at the end of my speech, like my mother did when she gave the graduation speech. And that poem was the very same poem that when I joined drug court, and it was called Don't Quit, and I put it in my book. It was a poem that I said I gave, and now Judge Jefferson said, I'm going to give these out as bookmarks. And so she showed them to me, and I said, this is my poem. This is the poem that I read that was written hundreds of years ago about never quitting. Never quitting. You could be so close to your goal, but how will you know if you stop too soon? You'll never know if you would have made it. So, and I told each graduate, as a teenage girl, I gave this poem in my graduation commencement speech. And they looked at me, they said, oh, wow. But the bottom line is the sentiment is there. Don't quit. I told them when they graduated, read that poem every day. Read that poem when you decide you're trying to make a decision and you want to take the easy road, read it. Read it because it tells you to stick with it. No, don't take the easy road because you're not going to be happy with what you got. That's not what you wanted. That road that's a little bit harder, the one going to the goal that you really, really want, the one that God put in your heart, the one that's the purpose for you, that is the one you stick with. So read that every day. And so that's the kind of thing and I try to say things kind of in a comical way too in the book, when my mother piano lessons and having us march through snow blizzards and she, it's like she says, hey, I said, Mama, it said on TV not to go outside, not to go. If you don't have to do it, don't. And we just knew we were getting the day off. And she said, she handed us some scarves, put it around your neck, extra wrap. She said, go ahead, go out the door. And, hands were frozen when we got there. But we learned.
I get it.
Don't quit.
I get it.
Don't quit.
I get it. I get it. I try to pass on that same sort of, those same sort of characteristics to my own children now as a mother. I know that my parents, they knew when to pushed me out of the nest, and it involved, I know, a lot of courage on their part, but they knew that later on in life, I thank them because I believe it's gotten me to a point where I am today, and I only aspire to accomplish in my own career as much as you have. More importantly, Judge, I want to thank you because you have, just your conscious authority. It's established just riveting pathways for thousands of people, not just Detroiters, veterans as well. You've served. I don't know how you did it all. And I know that you had your biggest advocate, your twin sister, with you. So I commend you for carrying on, and just helping others to see life's mountainous gifts. In your book, I just want to close by saying, right here in your first foreword, through your many lessons, it's about how you apply them. And for you, forward, that's the word that you've left with us. You said it's a directive, and it just means to keep moving forward. I don't think it can be reiterated enough. I know you've said it plenty. I don't mind repeating it because a lot of times I think I have to look in the mirror and tell myself that, along with God, I know faith is something that you also believe is first and foremost.
Right.
And the only thing you have sometimes. So thank you for all that you've done, all that you're continuing to do for the community. You are not stopping, and it is so very inspirational. Thank you for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.